In the Old West scenario, the legality of brothels was subject to local jurisdiction. According to historical records, this practice was widely tolerated during that notorious era of American history. In order for women to run their establishments, it was often required for them to obtain operating licenses, which allowed them to legally operate these controversial businesses. In the year 1863, the western frontier emerged as a territory filled with both opportunities and seemingly insurmountable obstacles. This vast and uncharted territory held the promise of a diverse range of opportunities for brave pioneers, but it also presented a multitude of threats, with diseases being just one of the many constant concerns. In the history of mining in the Old West, dogs played a notable and multifaceted role. It was a common sight to spot hopeful miners on their epic journeys westward, often accompanied by loyal companion dogs. These canines not only walked alongside their masters, but also rode along on their horseback adventures. In the 1800s, cowboys played a crucial role in the exploration and expansion to the west in the United States. Although the origins of this iconic figure can be traced back to Mexico, American cowboys developed a distinct lifestyle and reputation that contributed significantly to the shaping of the national identity. Tom Horn was born in the year 1860, displaying exceptional hunting and shooting skills even in his childhood. As he headed to the American West in the 1870s, he embarked on a diverse life, taking up various occupations that made him a notorious frontier figure. In addition to his skills as a hunter and marksman, Horn also showed proficiency in several other areas. Earth lodges were the predominant form of housing among the various Native American tribes of the Great Plains in Central and North America. The tradition of building these earth lodges dates back to the 16th century and persisted into the era of Indian reservations, playing a fundamental role in the history of these native communities. Until the second half of the 19th century, the most prevalent types of pianos manufactured in the United States were square pianos and grand pianos. It wasn't until after the year 1870 that the production of upright pianos truly began to gain momentum in the piano industry. Square and grand pianos were the predominant choices for musicians and music enthusiasts in the United States. Undoubtedly, the Old West is often popularly depicted as a setting of cowboys, saloons, and shootouts. But there were a wealth of elements that went far beyond that. In addition to the characteristic aspects of this era, the presence of doctors played a crucial role, serving a vital role in providing medical care to that pioneering community. In pre-Columbian North America, indigenous blankets played an essential role in the lives of various native communities. These blankets were crafted in diverse ways, using a wide range of materials and techniques, and served several important functions. Blankets were often made from the hides of smaller animals such as deer and rabbits, which were skillfully treated and prepared to provide protection against intense cold. In the Old West, professional moneylenders played a prominent role in the economic landscape of the western frontier. These entrepreneurs established businesses in all major trading centers, offering a variety of essential financial services, including pawn loans and financing to expeditionary businesses and individuals seeking opportunities on the frontier. In the Old West, despite the absence of an official written code, there existed an unwritten set of rules and principles that guided the behavior of the brave pioneers who inhabited the region. These informal norms were deeply rooted in core values such as hospitality, fair play, loyalty, and respect for the land. Such principles formed the foundation for coexistence and survival in the challenging environment of the Wild West. The Bloody Benders were an infamous and sinister family of serial killers who operated at an inn in Kansas during a terrifying period that lasted for approximately a year, from 1871 to 1872. While the fate of the Bender family remains shrouded in mystery, they endure as legendary figures, representing a real-life horror story that continues to haunt people's imaginations to this day. Gold panning emerged as one of the oldest and fundamental practices used by pioneers in their quest for wealth in the town of Coloma, California, in the year 1848. This primitive method of separating precious metal from impurities and the surrounding soil became a vital activity for gold miners during the iconic California Gold Rush. William Preston Longley, also known as Wild Bill Longley, was indeed one of the most feared and ruthless gunmen of the American West during his short life of 27 years. His criminal career was characterized by a series of aliases and identities, showcasing his remarkable ability to elude authorities and his willingness to change his appearance and background to evade capture. In the Old West, people's diets did indeed vary considerably, depending on a range of factors, including their socioeconomic status and geographical location. For pioneers and isolated landowners, their food options were often limited to the resources available on their own properties, which significantly influenced the composition of their daily meals. Tobacco did indeed play a tremendously significant role in the history and culture of Native Americans long before the arrival of Christopher Columbus, dating back over a millennium. This versatile and sacred plant was cultivated and revered by various indigenous tribes throughout the Americas, playing a crucial role in spiritual ceremonies, rituals, and social practices. In the Old West, unique opportunities arose, especially for women, who discovered a freedom and independence often denied in more established societies. Far from the constraints imposed by society in their homes, women could reinvent themselves and challenge traditional gender conventions, finding a new voice and influence in a pioneering and ever-changing environment. Throughout the history of the United States, numerous mines sprung up across the country, dating back to the early days of colonization. However, it was the mines of the American West that stood out as the most abundant and iconic, leaving a fascinating legacy filled with romance, fortunes won and lost, extreme hardships, rampant greed, and the creation of countless ghost towns. The Dunn Brothers, hailing from Pawnee, Oklahoma, had a dual role that included part-time work as bounty hunters and full-time involvement in cattle rustling. They gained notoriety for their involvement in the deaths of two prominent members of the infamous group known as the Wild Bunch, George Bitter Creek Newcomb and Charlie Pierce. In 1869, the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad in the United States had a crucial goal of connecting the densely populated areas in the east with the equally populated regions in the west, with the aim of facilitating trade and the country's expansion. However, a dark and deeply problematic aspect of this endeavor was that the railroad's construction often disregarded the rights and interests of the indigenous peoples who had long inhabited these lands. In the year 1886, photographer C.S. Fly obtained permission from the famous Apache leader Geronimo to capture images in his camp. While busy photographing some young Apaches, Fly made a surprising discovery. One of the young Apaches was, in fact, a white captive. This young captive, named Santiago, had been taken by the Apaches, and during the 6 months he lived among them, fully assimilated into the tribe's way of life and even became fluent in their language. Traveling across the country in the mid-19th century was a daunting and challenging endeavor. For individuals aiming to reach the Pacific coast, a journey of about 2,000 miles lay ahead of them, crossing vast deserts and facing a series of adversities, including exposure to the elements, rugged terrain, and constant uncertainty about what they would encounter along the way. In the year 1850, livery stables represented places where pioneers had the opportunity to rent horses, teams of horses, carriages, and wagons for their transportation needs. Typically, these stables were associated with hotels or inns, providing travelers with a practical solution for their transportation requirements. In the 1860s, public education had not yet solidified as a stable and widely established institution on the western frontier of the United States. The availability and quality of education varied significantly, depending on the geographic location and the degree of importance given to education by the particular community. In the 19th century, particularly between the 1840s and 1880s, the concept of wolfers emerged to describe a group of specialized wolf hunters operating in North America. During this period, numerous individuals dared to venture into the wilderness in pursuit of wolves, facing the challenges and dangers posed by the unforgiving wilderness and vast landscapes.